It's that special time of the year where friends and family come together. We look back on our triumphs and tribulations from the past year and begin to look forward to what the next year will bring us. Season 4 is coming to a close, and patch 2.4 is right around the corner, with tons of amazing treats and presents for all classes. In tonight's episode, we hope to spread a little bit of holiday cheer for all of our fellow Nephilim. Welcome to Westmarch Workshop, episode 76, Season's Greetings from the Workshop. And, well, a little bit of a scheduling problem for tonight. I'm not sure what happened to Steven. I've not been able to get a hold of him for the past couple of hours, so it's just going to be me here tonight. I guess that means there's not going to be too much discussion, more just kind of hitting up some of the big news points from this past week. But I'll go ahead and try my best and see where this little adventure will go through and take us. I've been having quite a bit of fun hanging out with chat there for the past 30 minutes. They've been keeping me company while we try and figure out what happened to Leviathan. So we can definitely go with, his dog ran away again, therefore he's having to go and chase him down. My theory is he probably fell asleep with his phone on silent yet again. Um, but yeah, I guess as far as weekend gaming, we can try and keep the traditional format of the show here together. But I don't have too much to report. I did finally not competing for certain. That I just finished Conqueror for my seasonal journey. In the way my schedule's been looking for this next week, I'm not sure if I'm going to be hitting Guardian, unfortunately. I really only need to do the Tier 10 Rift in 3 minutes, which will get me my third conquest and then the level 60 solo clear, but I have had no luck whatsoever in getting any type of ancient weapon for the Witch Doctor to try and push him above that 55. Today I did just get a really nice non-ancient Suong Diviner, which is about as good as you can get as far as rolls go. 98% acid cloud damage. It does have attack speed, but it's around 3,900 DPS on it. The 10% weapon damage. I re-rolled it to near perfect weapon damage, but I think that's the biggest thing that's just holding me back right now. I'll get there eventually, hopefully, and then just next season things will calm down at work, and I should be able to focus a lot more time, especially towards the back end of the season, in order to go and get that Guardian done. At least I was able to go through and get Conquest, so I know next season I should be able to unlock the stash tab. That has been a big point of topic in the community lately, because there's a lot of people that don't want to play seasons, or even we've gotten emails or people that are messaging us about, I'm really concerned. I barely made conquests this season. Well, spoilers, so did I. Even not really a spoiler, I just said it, but you know what I mean. Um, and I can definitely see how some people would be a bit hesitant about that. But in last episode, we were talking about with the power creep. I think it's going to be easier to get Conquest in Season 5 than it was in Season 4. But there is actually a bit of kind of chatter going around in the community right now. There's actually a big thread on Reddit as well as the official forums stating that they haven't been talking about that stash tab lately, and especially haven't been talking about it being tied to your season journey. One of the big things that it is that a user Micro RNA, put together on the forums, going through and stating that people were going and asking about the patch item and set preview from that we got last week, that is going through and saying that, hey, there's no mention of stash tabs in here. What's up? And Nevilistus actually responded saying that it's not, since it doesn't pertain to items or sets, we didn't include it, and that will probably get mentioned in the season 5 preview post. Well, that came out, and it still doesn't talk anything about the stash tab. So now there's kind of like, I guess, tinfoily hat type of theory going on that, well, maybe they dropped it entirely. Or maybe they're not yet 100% on tying it to Conqueror. Maybe they'll drop it to Champion Slayer, something along those lines to make it a bit easier, not require as much time dedicated into the season in order to unlock those stash tabs. We'll have to wait and see. just what the dev team themselves actually come up with what they want to do. Some of the other interesting things that we had come up during that season 5 preview blog. See if I can go through and pull it up on the screen here. Have to remember which tab I added that to. Oh, spoilers. Nope, wrong one. There we go. All right, I should better label these things. We also got an introduction to the actual conquests that we'll be getting in this next season, so that way you'll be able to, kind of get a hop on it. Of course, the first of the two new conquests that we're going to be getting for this season is the new Masters of the Universe or Masters of Sets, which normally the hardcore one is the one that always gets like the awesomer title, but this time, I guess only softcore gets to be the He-Man, She-Ra wannabe people. I don't care. I'm jealous. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm jealous. I wish I could be a master of the universe, but sadly, I can only just be a master of sets. Um, but yeah, the new conquest is going to require you to actually master one of the new set dungeons coming out. Actually, it's not one, but 8. So you can divide that up any way that you want to. You can either go through and hit it up with 2 classes, because each class has 4 sets that they can do. So you can master the full 4 sets for 2 classes, which is what they talked about at BlizzCon. They felt that that's a good number, and that's something that they see a lot of people will go through and play multiple classes, and they think 2 is a good number for people to go through and kind of head out to a master. Or if you're someone that is like a serious altaholic, you might be able to get 1 or 2 from a multitude of classes in order to get up to the 8 in order to complete this conquest. Next one over, we have a slightly redesigned the Superhuman and the Thrill, which we had previously where you had to reach level 40 without any class set items. They're changing it now to be the reach level 45 with no sets, period. So no focus and restraint, no legacy and nightmares, no canes, blackthorns, anything. This is just going to be straight up legendaries. See how far you can get, how powerful you can be. I know that this one was kind of a hard one for particularly like Crusaders this time around, just because there's so much power that they got from their sets directly. We'll have to see if some of the new items that they've introduced can help them out in any way, shape, or form. And then finally, we have some returning ones with little tiny tweaks and such. We have Speed Racer coming back, which is actually a lot of fun. That's one of those ones that, Steven and I have had fun doing in the past, or in the first season attempting to do, where you have to complete the entire game in 1 hour. Then finally, you have Dynasty, uh, which will require you to get to level 55 solo using 6 class sets. Which, since you're already having to master 8 for the other conquests, this should be particularly easy, because a lot of those sets, I think, are the set dungeons are kind of balanced around kind of like Torment 8-ish, give or take. Some have like kind of like skewed difficulties one way or another. But that's not that far off from just going through and completing it, especially with all the power creep that's been going on lately. That this should be, incredibly easy for anybody to go through and get, just hopping on a couple, like 1 or 2 classes in order to get that done. Well, 2 or 3 classes, I should say. It's impossible with 1. This is where Steven would come in handy for correcting my little things. And finally, we have Avarita coming back, which is get the 50 million gold streak while outside of the vault or the inner sanctum, which this should be rather interesting, because that is not hard to do at all nowadays. You can get that, with a Torment 10 Rift so easily. Not even like really fully gearing yourself out. You come across one Gilded Baron, and that alone is like 30, 40 million gold. You just have to go and kind of like flip a couple, Torment 10 Rifts until you come across one of those Barons, and then just be like, boom, done. That's it. End of story. Ah, so that's some of the that's to me was some of the like the kind of the most interesting thing from the patch preview that we had coming up. We do also have one last thing, which is going to be the cosmetic rewards coming from the new season itself. And from that, we've got the new pet that we'll be getting, for going through and completing chapters 1 through 4 of the seasonal journey, like the little woodman. It's kind of like this is kind of one of the new monsters that we're going through and going to be fighting on Grey Hollow Island in patch 2.4. That is not entirely new because there is one event in the Blood Marsh where you have to destroy the Burning Man, and this was like a unique at the time it was like a very unique like monster because it was the only thing that this model was used in, not this particular model, but is a burning tree man. um, and then, of course, we'll be getting the Conqueror's boots and pants, put back in. I believe those are rewards for reaching level 70. You'll be able to go through and get those for your transmog. And then finally, we'll have a whole brand new set of, portrait frames, which they have that kind of like woody texture to it, kind of to go through and show off the whole theme of Grey Hollow Islands being kind of like this kind of forested island that's all dark and spooky like. They're really going through and working up with that kind of aesthetic feeling for this patch. I guess since I've already accidentally showed it twice here on the stream, I might as well go into the next thing that I know has been shared around on a couple of the other sites. That we did recently get a little email from the community team, just wishing us, a happy holidays, kind of like going through. And this is the little Christmas letter that Blizzard created for fan sites and communities, and we have the signatures from the Diablo community team down there. And it's just a nice little thing, that they go through and send out, which, I always appreciate stuff like that. And let's see. What else did we have on our show notes? Not terribly like Diablo 3 related, but just kind of like news things for stuff going on in the Diablo community. Coming up for the Awesome Games Done Quick, the 2016 Awesome Games Done Quick, they're adding 2 new games in Diablo 1 and 2, which is going to be extremely interesting. I do wonder if they're going to like be. I know with Diablo 1 it was just kind of like going through and beating the game, but for Diablo 2 is it just going to be like straight up beating the game, or is it going to be going from normal to hell and beating hell Baal? That should be entertaining. That could actually take a while if they're going to do it solo, or if they're going to actually have like a full group of like 8 people, because without having someone to like run you through and do bail runs, that will take a lot of time. Even just beating the game itself, solo, on normal with no help or anything is going to be really time consuming. That could, I don't know. I'm trying to think how long it normally takes me to beat the Diablo 2 on my first playthrough, and it's by that, if I'm not getting a power level, I will have gotten the permanence on my character, which I believe requires that you play that character for 6 hours, because otherwise it has to you have to constantly like log into that character once every 3 days until you reach that 6 hour mark, and then it will last for the 90 days before it will get deleted. Um, Droth in chat is going through and saying they should level to 99. Yeah, that will be a 3-day stream. That will be very interesting to see one go through and try and do that. Uh, let's see. Some of the other things, this ties back onto our Season 5 preview that we got. The whole rebirth mechanic, which we kind of talked about during, or while we were immediately after BlizzCon, was talked about at BlizzCon, where it allows you to take a non-seasonal character, remove all of their items, drop them back down to level 1, and then rebirth them as a seasonal character. So that way you can play the same person. You can keep track of your time played. You can keep track of your elite kills and such. And that way you kind of like have a sense of connection, to that singular character instead of having to go and start a fresh new one every single time. Helps save you on character slots and such. We are finding out that you have a limit that you can only do that 3 times per season, and that had a lot of people going and asking, well, why? Wyatt did drop in on Reddit and just to clarify specifically why they're making that change. And the reason for it is kind of comes down to if they had no limitations for it, it could easily be exploited as additional stash space because you could load up a character with a whole bunch of items, rebirth them, and then it will sit in your mail for 30 days. There was some other theories that they had, or just ideas that they had of how they could do it, where you can't rebirth a character until you emptied out your mail. But someone who might have been gone from the game for a bit and then come back, and they have their seasonal stash space still sitting there, and they want to rebirth a character, they'd have to like empty out everything from the prior season, and then before they could actually go through and rebirth it again. And so they didn't want to do that where if you wanted to just jump right back into the game, start a seasonal character, it didn't worry anything about what you had sitting in your mailbox or your non-season or whatever, and so they didn't want to do that. And they're doing it just that limitation of the 3 times more or less to prevent people from exploiting it as just additional stash space and unloading all the items and then just rebirthing again every 30 days so that way they have kind of like almost unlimited stash space just sitting there through the mail mechanic. Um, so that's the reasoning for it. If you are looking to rebirth more than 3 characters at a time, I do heavily suggest you stop by the official forums or drop by that Reddit thread in particular to kind of voice your concerns. Maybe you want 5 or 6, or I don't know. Maybe you like going through and playing, lots of characters. I don't know. I can only play through like 2 or 3 characters in a season. I'm not really all that big on alts. Don't even get me started about how much I hate alts in World of Warcraft. But to each their own. Everybody plays their own way. And that pretty much goes through and covers up a lot of the news items for this past week. There isn't too much to talk about because, well, we're kind of in that calm before the storm in this particular time. I guess it's snowstorm for those of us in the northern hemisphere, at least. Because the season 4 will be ending next week, and we're still roughly we're like 3 weeks away, almost a month away from the beginning of season 5. Hopefully we're not that far away from patch 2.4, and we'll get that shortly after the holiday season. In order to go through and have some fun with that. But, things are pretty much all quiet on the news front. We won't get too much until we actually get into the next season. And of course, in next week's episode, we'll go through and start talking about kind of like the 2015 year in review for Diablo and what our expectations and hopes are for going into 2016 season 5 and beyond. We can go and see where it takes us from there. We've all had a nice little fun journey here in 2015, and definitely would like to wish everybody listening to this show happy holidays and Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, which has already passed, Happy Merry Christmas Hanukkah, whichever tickles your fancy. But yeah, we will be back next week with all of your community feedback. And I do continue to go through and ask and give praise to anyone that does go through and gives us ratings. We did have one new rating. Scoots went and gave us a 5-star rating on iTunes. So thank you there, Scoots, and thank you for the kind words. We'll definitely be able to catch us here every Wednesday night. We'll try to be here every Wednesday night, but sometimes stuff does come up. You can find us Wednesday nights here at twitch.tv/BlizzPro at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. You can also follow the official show on Twitter at the WM Workshop. You also can find a lot of the stuff that we talk about here on the show at diablo.blizzpro.com. We're even in game. We are the BlizzPro clan. You can go through, stop by, join, have a chat with us and other fans of the show. If you don't want to leave your current clan, you can always join the Westmarch Workshop community and go through and chat with us there. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at Neinball and you can also follow Sir not appearing in this episode, Mr. Leviathan, at SA Stewart 111, and occasionally he goes through and streams at twitch.tv/Leviathan111 in order to go through and find them there. And with that, I again just want to wish everybody uh, a happy holiday.
Has a dark and brooding soul, with a dire plan and a hateful man. Domination is my goal. Is a fairy tale, they say. With a brimstone smell, I rose up from hell to claim the world one day.
There must have been some magic in that old soulstone they found.
For when they placed it in my head, I was trapped far underground.
Nasty Diablo.
Hidden for 1,000 years. The Haradrim say I'll return one day, preying on your mortal fears.
Nasty Diablo.
Was released and headed east, where I sought to find 2 more of my kind, so the 3 could be unleashed.
He led them through the streets of town and right down into hell.
We only paused a moment when we battled Tyrael.
Nasty Diablo.
Made a final stand that day, but I waved goodbye saying don't you cry, I'll be back again someday.
Hackety slash slash. Hackety slash slash. Hackety slash slash.